Well, hello there. I hope you're doing well today. We are going to see how does Python works in Blender. If you are scared about one line of code, trust me, it's not that hard and it could be really useful. So we are going to learn today the basics of Python and the basics of how you can use Python in Blender. You'll see it's freaking awesome, not that hard, and really useful. Let's go. Alright, so just before beginning, my name is Roman. I'm a shitty English speaker. I'm French guy, so I have a shitty accent, but I hope I'm doing way better in 3D and in development. So today I will explain you how you can use the Python programming language in Blender to make your life way easier. Alright, so this is really only the basics, but you will see that even with only the basic, you can do amazing stuff. So without waiting, let's start. So we have here the Blender UI, right? And right now, like this, you can't just write code, right? So how can I write code in Blender to like speak with it? You need to change a little bit your layout. So to change the layout, you will go in a corner here, okay? You can go in any corner you want. So I will just go here, right? And I will just drag and drop in the corner from in to in. Once again, I already explained this in the basics of my lessons, but okay. Right there, right? And this part here, I will change it in the text editor, right? So the text editor in Blender is just like this, what like the name said, a text editor, right? Like, I don't know, Vim, Visual Code, Notepad, whatever you want. And I will once again do this, and here I will create the Python console, right? So the Python console, it's the Python real-time interpreter of Blender. So this is really cool because you can see in real time, in code and in response, the value of variables, how does Blender react to your code, etc. So this is really useful to test stuff, and this is really useful to write stuff, right? For the ones of you that already code in Python and they know what the difference between code execution and an interpreter, this is the same, all right? So now that I have this, I need a last panel, right? And the last panel is the info panel, right? Here, info. Because the info panel is something that is so useful when you begin in Python that you don't already know how useful it can be. I will show you, okay? So, info panel is this, like, it's a panel that shows you every action you do in Blender in Python code, right? So, for example, I create a cube, Shift A, Mesh, Cube, beam. I have this line here that was just logged to me, okay? And this line here is the Python code to just do what I did, right? So, with the info panel, you can see like the history of your action in Python. You can just like copy and paste these lines and the code will work, right? So to automate stuff, you can automate stuff in your software without even knowing one line of Python. You just have to copy and paste like a dumbass, right? So this is like pretty fucking awesome, right? So let's just move my head here and I will put it here. Okay, so let's start again and let's try to do that, right? So I will just remove my cube and I will just say, okay, so I'm here, just try to create something. I create a monkey, right? Okay, I create a monkey, I have this line that appear, right? Let's try to copy it, right? Right click, copy, and to execute it in the interpreter, right? So if you want to execute only one line of code and to have the response in real time, you use the interpreter, right? So I remove it and I try this. So I Ctrl V and ta-da, I have a monkey that was created writing stuff here. Right, let's try it again, right? I just Ctrl V and because there is like a break line at the end, it executes right away. Ta-da, all right? I did not like redo stuff. No, I just copy and paste this line here, all right? Okay, so cool, but what if I want to create two monkeys at one time, right? For this, if you need to execute more than one line, you need to use the text editor here, right? So the text editor give you the ability to write text, right? So not that big deal. So we are creating a new file here, and I will just pass it, right? So I have just one line here with my code, okay? I will just try to, okay, put it a little bit more like big so you can see it. And I will just create another line here, right? So I have two lines with the same code, right? And to see it, I will change the value in location here. I will put this at 3, okay? Don't worry about it right now. I will explain it just a bit later, all right? So, but now, and how can I execute these two lines in one time? I just press this button here, right? Or the shortcut is Alt-P. So this is what I'm going to do, Alt-P. Beam. And oh my God, I have an error rate, okay? So why do I have an error here? Okay, this is the first stuff you need to get. It when you're trying to write Python code in the text editor, in any text editor, you always need to do, before executing any code, this line, import BPY. Because BPY is a Python module used by Blender to be executed, right? So if you don't have this line, you will have an error. You will have this error. Look at this. You will say, okay, name BPI is not defined. It's because it's not been imported. So if you want to work with the Blender stuff, you need to import BPI. And just to be fair, BPI just means Blender PI Python, right? So this is the Blender Python module. So you need this, right? Once you import it, right? So the line import something means that you can use a new set of code, right? A new set of code function in Python. Now you can just execute it, just pressing Alt-P. And beam, we have now two monkeys, right? Isn't this awesome? Right? Isn't this awesome? Okay. So you have the basics here. So let me explain how does this work exactly so you can be a little bit clearer, right? So I will just remove this. Okay, and I will concentrate myself on this line here, right? So we have what? We have like BPI. So BPY means just I'm using a function or something of the module named BPY, right? And this module BPY was created by the Blender developer to just give us the ability to speak with it, right? It's what we call an API, right? An API, it's a application programming interface. It's a little bit like a GUI, GUI, don't know. You will see it. You will say it in comments. But it's a little bit like a GUI that you use to click and do whatever you want. Here it's the same stuff, but in programming. So it's like function names that you can call, stuff that you can write to make stuff in your software, right? So the Blender BPY is exactly that. And so it's why that is not, for example, in internet where you want to learn some stuff about it, you won't write Blender BPY, you will write Blender API because you want to have the Blender application programming interface, right? So this is the Blender API, right? And in the API, you have a submodule called OPS, right? The submodule called OPS, so to call a module of a module in Python, you write the module, so like my module, right? Like this. And if you have a submodule in it, you just put a dot and you write my submodule, right? That is, right? And to call stuff in the submodule, once again, it's dot, right? So Python works like this. You want to go down the hierarchy of the stuff, you just put dot, 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 right? Okay. So the submodule ops, right? For in BPY, the name here means operator. And if you saw my lesson on the basics of Blender, if you don't do it, just click here, right here. You have the little YouTube stuff. I said to you that when you do an action in Blender, it's called a command or an operator, right? This is operator. And in this submodule, you have all the operators of the command available to you in Blender. All right. So what is it exactly? It's within this submodule, you can call every button that is in Blender. You can call them here in Python. So you can see already how this can be fucking powerful, right? So you have a submodule here. Mesh is just to be a little bit organized. It's because it's an operator on the mesh data. But for example, if it was on shaders, it would be like material, or if it would be like on objects, it would be objects. Whatever. I will show you all the stuff you have just after. But right now, you have BPY the module, OPS the operator submodule, and mesh the category where is organized your operator. And now here, this is the operator code, okay? And the operator code in Blender, it's always a function, okay? Always a function. So what's a function in Python? Really simple. It's like my function name, for example, right? And you will have like parentheses, and the stuff in the parentheses are like the settings of the function, okay? So see this like something to do, and what are in the parentheses, it's like the settings to modify how you will do it, right? For example, if I have a function, it's called run, right? This is run, okay? But I can run slow, I can run fast, I can run whatever I want, I can run backward, right? So I can have the same thing, setting here, for example, speed. And I can write, for example, 10. And now I will run 10 miles an hour because I run fucking fast, right? So this is the action, and this is the the setting, sorry, of the action, right? What we call in code arguments, right? So the arguments of a function are like the settings of it, right? Setting of the action. So here, primitive monkey add, it's the function, the action that is used to Blender, and what is in this, it's the setting of this action. So let's try to get it, right? Size is like the size of the monkey. So all right, so does it mean if I put like 0.5, my monkey will be smaller? Okay, let's try. Right, yes, it works. Okay, awesome. So this is the size, right? Enter edit mode false. Oh, what does it mean? I don't know, but we can try it, okay? And you will see that learn to programming in Blender at the beginning, it's really like you try stuff, okay? So let's try, right? So I see false in Python is with majuscule. So just to make you a little bit like a quick lesson on Python, you have like some stuff. So first type of stuff is called Boolean, right? Boolean, like this. And so it's let me right, it's false, true, or false, all right? So it's always written with a mage. I don't know why. It's the only language to do that, but why not? And so if you see true or false, you know it's a Boolean, right? And true is like 1 and false is 0, right? So just to see, it's like enter edit mode false. It's like I will not, the meaning behind this is like I will not enter edit mode. If it's true here, I will enter edit mode, all right? So be careful, you can't do this. You need to have a mage, because if you do this, Blender, Python think it's a variable name and not the Boolean value true. Okay, so be careful. And what about variable name, etc.? I will explain you this just a little bit later. So don't worry if you don't know programming at all. I will explain it to you. All right, so don't be scared. This is not that hard. All right. So I just put true and not false, and let's see what it goes. And now, okay, I'm directly in edit mode when the monkey is created, right? All right. Do you get how does this work, right? So let's just false, okay. And so you can change your stuff here. But the stuff that is really cool is that you can remove all of them, because they are like what we call optional arguments. You don't need to put them because Blender has like a default value in mind if you don't put them. So if I do that, don't worry, I have the default monkey. And what is this, the default monkey? Often if you don't put like any stuff in it, they are the default stuff that you have when you call it directly like this. Okay, this is the same monkey, you see? All right, so this is how it works, right? You have like the module BPY, and in it you have like a submodule operator that represents all the stuff where you can click on it in Blender, right? All the buttons, all the action you can do. And each action will be put in a submodule that's like just for organization. And we'll have one function by action, by commands, by operator, with some settings in it, some arguments. Then you can change to have a different behavior, right? So how can I have the list of all the operators that Blender gives me to use, right? This is really simple, actually. You just need to go on the internet, right? And you just type in your Google Chrome or your Firefox or research bar, Blender API, right? API. And you just go here, right? And this website is really cool because you have that here. This is really cool because this is not like whatever, this is not like a list to check why it's available to you or not. It's not like, it's explanation how to use it, All right, so this is really cool, and specifically, sorry, the quick start here. It's a really good thing and really good page to read if you want to slowly start with Blender API, right? Just to know, you need to know Python before, because there is no lesson on Python in it, only lesson on Python in Blender. So be careful. If you do not know Python, you need to have the basics on it if you want to be able to read this, all right? But what I want to get me, it's what I said, it's modules, right? The operator modules. And oh, look at this here. Here, what is it? What is it? What is it? This is the operator module here, right? So I want to look at this, okay? So let's check it. All right, so I click on it, right? Where are you? Here. And here, I have a small explanation on how it works. I will explain it to you later, don't worry. But here, I can just move, slowly go down, just because I don't really care right now. It's a really good explanation, but a little bit too complicated for us right now. But now I can just go here and say, oh, cool, okay. And here I have some modules, and the sub modules are exactly what we have here. So ops. So we can check the operator module, right? So let's check it, right? Oh, outliner. Okay, no. Where are you? Oh, it's not the operator module. Sorry, it's the mesh module. My bad. Okay, mesh module, right? And if I go in mesh operator, I will have all the operators that are like available to me in Blender. And we can check if we use primitive monkey add. So let's search here primitive monkey add, right? So Ctrl F to search, and I just write primitive, right, monkey, and here it is, right? And here you can see that I have a lot of stuff that I can modify, right? And even I have like an explanation of what each parameter does, right? So it's pretty cool. So for example, I see that I can use rotation, and I can put in it like 3 items of 3 number to rotate my object when it's created. So let's try this, right? So I will just put this on the side so you don't see it, but it's still there. And I will just put rotation, right, equal, okay? And just it send me, it's you can see the sentence. I see, okay, you have, and you can check how it's written here, right? But it says it's 3 items of 3 numbers. So to write 3 items on 3 numbers in Python, you can use this. So it's a list, for example. So this is 3 number 0, or you can use this. This it's what we call a tuple, right? So the difference between a list and a tuple, it's really easy. This is the same stuff. This is all the same. It's like an element with 3 numbers, all right? But the list can be modified after. The tuple can't, right? So often when you use arguments, you want to use a tuple, because once the argument is used, you don't need it anymore, so no need to modify it, all right? But you can use both of them, it's okay, all right? So here I will, for example, put 0, maybe like 90 and 0, and we'll see what it's going, or how it's going wrong, right? So I just execute it, I will remove the last one, and you see that my monkey is not at all rotating on 90 degrees on y-axis. So why is that? So you see that my monkey like just rotate on the y-axis, so this is good, but this is not 90 degrees, right? So this is really simple to understand when you get it, but I remember when I start scripting in Blender, I didn't get it, and this was like really mindfuck for me. But it's because the value here, and this is real for all rotation value in Blender with the Python API. They are never in degrees, they are always in radian. So here, when I put 90, I do not put 90 degrees, I put 90 radian. So if I check here, you can see that I have like 90 radian is like 5,000 degrees. And you have to get that here, these values are displayed as like degrees, but inside Blender, they are radians. So just to be sure, right, look at this. If I put here 90 degrees, you can see that, in fact, here, the value that Blender get is 1.5708. And this is 90 degrees in radian, right? So I can try it if I want. Just 1.5708. 8, all right? And so if you are a little bit good at math, you know that radian to do like 180 degrees, it's pi, right? And pi it's like 3.14, right? So this is exactly the middle, the half of pi, right? Because you want to half of 180, that is 90, right? So this is a half of pi, and this is because you can, even if you want to do 3.14 on 2, right? This is the same stuff, right? Okay, I can show you if you want. 3, I will zoom it. On 2, right? You see that I have 1.7. Okay, this is the same thing, all right? And I even think that you have like, if I put p, yes, okay, the word p in Python is automatically this value, so you can even use this p on 2, right? Because you know that p in radian is 180 degrees. If you don't know it, don't worry, it's not that a big deal. Just hit the value here and just check the real value here. Okay, so that's not a real big deal, right? So just we can check it. All right, beam. All right, sorry, beam. Oh, okay. Oh, p is not defined, right. Oh, I think because p is in the module matutils here. All right, so I will import matutils. Okay, so p is, I thought p was in Python, but not, p is not in Python. P is in Blender, and I will put here matutils.py, right? What the fuck is wrong with you? Module matutils has no attribute pi, so it's not in matutils. Oh, so it's in math. Sorry, math. Matutils math, not that clear. Okay, so let's try it. All right, so now p in the module math, you see that I can rotate my monkey 90 degrees. Okay, once again, I don't need to do that. I can just put here 3 by 3.14, and it's the same thing, right? You see, only exactly the same thing. Okay, so here, okay, you can see that it's not exactly 90 degrees. It's because I have lost a little bit of precision, but once again, not that of a big deal. Okay, so this is how it works, right? You can change your settings here, and you can like create stuff in Blender. Okay, so let's go a little bit further, right? And let's try to do some stuff that we can't do just with our mouse. Okay, for example, what if I want to create not 1 monkey but 10 monkey on a line like this? All right, to do this in like with the mouse, it's a little bit trickier, right? But with Python, it's really easier actually, right? So we saw that if you want to move your object when you create it, you just go in your mesh, and you see that here I have like a parameter, an argument location, so I can use this, right? So what I want to do is to create a monkey that will be 10 monkeys that will be like 1, and a monkey size is 1, so I will be like 0.5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just 10 here, right? So 1 each cases, 1 each block, right? So how can I do that? I can do this. So for I in range 10, right? So I will explain this line just after, don't worry. And I just do this, all right? And I will just, for now, I will not choose this. So if you want to have a line in your Python code that is not executed, to keep it for later, for example, you just put this character in front of it. I don't even know how is it called in English. Sorry. In French, it's called dièse, right? So you put a dièse, right? So you certainly know how it does in your language. So you put this just because of it. And to this, when it's on Blender, so I will call this the dièse, right? This is not executed for Blender, okay? And I will just write here for now, print E, all right? So print in Python, it's a special function written for you in Python that is showing you the value of something on the screen, right? So it will show me, this will show me the value of I, right, in this stuff that I didn't explain you yet. So let's try it, and we will see that seeing how behave print will help us understand how work a for loop, right? So let's try it, all right? So I just run it, and you didn't see anything, but trust me, this works, right? But this is one of the things I wanted to explain to you. It's this works here, right? Here you see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this works in my console, right? So this is the first thing I need to explain to you, is that Blender Python works especially in the console and not in Blender itself. So it's a little bit weird, and you need to get that, because there is unless you get that, there will be a lot of stuff that you want to show with Python or errors that you can get, and you will not have enough info because you don't see your console. So how can you see your console? If you are in Windows, it's really simple. You just go in Windows here, and you will have what I don't have because I'm on Linux, but you will have a button here that is called Toggled Windows Console, and you just click on it, and your console will be open, right? If you're on Linux or in macOS, you need to explicitly start Blender in a terminal, right? So if you're on Linux, I think it's very easy for you because practically every software works in a terminal. But if you are in Mac OS, it's not that common. So in Mac OS, you just press Ctrl space to open your search bar, right? And you press terminal, and in the terminal you write Blender, right? And if it does work, you need to drag and drop your blender.app application in your terminal to make it work, right? I know it's a little bit weird, but trust me, this is the only way to work with Python with Blender, right? Okay. So right now, so I need this stuff too, so I will put it right there, right? So I can see my or maybe here because I don't really need my outline. Okay. So I can see now my console here, and I can see my Blender stuff here, right? So you can see that when I print I, it print me 0 to 9 here, right? So 10 lines with each number. And this is what it means here. For I in range 10, it means that I will execute this, all the block code that is in this 10 times, right? From 0 to 9, because you need to, in coding language, you need to take account for the 0, right? So from 0 to 9, I will execute this line, and not just this line, all the blocks that are inside. And how do I know this is inside? There is like a tab indentation here, right? So I will execute this code 10 times. So this code here show me the value of I. So here I will be displayed 10 times on the screen, and I will have the value 0 to 9, because each time I pass in the loop, I will be incremented from 1. So let's try it again, right? Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't be, this is a mistake of me. Don't be alarmed, all right? Okay, so now, if I want to create 10 monkey, really easy, right? I will just put this here, right? I just do this, right? And so what it's going to do is that this line will be executed 10 times, right? Let's try it. All right, I have 10 monkey in my scene, right? They are on the same place, right? But this is 10 monkey, right? Okay, so let's delete them. And right now, I don't want 10 monkey on the same place. I want 10 monkey, but on each square, right? So I am lucky because I know that now each loop I has the value of the loop itself, right? First loop I is 0, second loop I is 1, second loop I is 2. So I can write this location equal, right? I 0, 0. So what I'm going to have is that each monkey will be on 0, 1, 2, 3 on X value. Let's try, right? Beam. Okay, you get the point, right? Really easy, right? So this is really cool because right now, I can do this stuff by hand, all right? I can, but it's fucking nightmare, right? Now, just with 2 lines of code, I can do this. So pretty cool, right? So, okay, but you see that now my monkey are just like intersect each other, not that bad. So maybe I can change the size here, right? I can just scale here, and maybe I can put like 0.5, right? And once again, I do not invent this. This is right in here. This is right in. I can use size here. And once again, it's not size. It's not scale. It's size. So sorry, I made a mistake here, right? So I do not invent it, right? It's not this. It is just the Blender API docs that give me the information, right? So let's try it again, okay? So I remove it, right? And I just execute it once again. Beam, right? So right now, each monkey are still on the same place, but they are like 4 times smaller, right? Awesome, right? So this is how basic Python work, right? So what can I do that is really cool, okay? Let's try and let's finish this lesson today trying to automate some stuff, right? So to automate, sorry, some stuff, because automate is a French word, my bad. Okay, so what I can do here, this is it. I can create, because for example, for whatever reason, you found that when you work on an object in Blender, often this is what you do. So I will just put this right there for now. You create an object, right? A cube. And your cube, you took the modifier and you create a modifier on it. You create a subdivision surface, right? And you put it at 2 and you apply it to start working with it, right? So maybe we can have a little bit of script that do all this action every time I want to work on an object, right? So it can be really cool to starting to automate stuff, right? And the cool stuff is that all the action that I did, I just here. I just need to copy all of it and it's gone. So let's try it, okay? So I just remove it. I remove this stuff, all right? And I try. So I see that I have like primitive cube add. Okay, this seems about right. So Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So this is where I create my cube, all right? Once again, I don't need any other stuff in it because the default settings are the default setting when I create my cube. So I can just do that, right? I have this bp.context.dataspace equal modifier, right? I will copy it. Okay, but I will explain it to you what it does just after. So for now, I just put a dièse in front of it, right? Once again, dièse is this fucking thing I don't know what to call in English. Put it in the comments so I will know it for the next video, right? Thank you very much. And right now, I will just copy this. Okay, so BP OPS object modifier add, right? So you can say what it does because you just need to read, right? So BPY, sorry, is the module, OPS is the submodule, object is a submodule of operators, so the objects category, right? And the modifier, right? Well, yes, it's adding a modifier, and you can even guess it's like, okay, and the type is subsurf, right? And subsurf, it's subdivision surface, right? So it's not that hard to get. This is not that hard to guess, right? And if you don't want to guess, you can go in the documentation in Blender and go, okay, this is an object operator, so I need to go in object operator here, right there, right? And here I just need to find modifier add, right? Modifier add, right? And this is it. And you see that, okay, this is not the good one. Okay, here. And you see that I have type subsurf, and I can, of course, yeah. So do I want to put it on selected object or only the active one? And here I can see that type is the object type item, so I can just open this, right? And this is all I can do in it, right? So this is all the type of modifier I can write in this, right? Okay, so for now, don't worry about it. What I want to do here, it's okay, it's oh, I have this line to put it like at 2, right? So once again, this I will just put it like this for now because this is a special line, this and this. I will explain you why just after. And after you have like EC apply modifier, I will just copy and paste, right? This is special line because you see is that it's not OPS here, right? This is why for now I comment them. And I just want to go in edit mode here. So OPS object edit mode toggle. So let's try it, okay? So this is all my lines. So what happened if I execute this, right? Let's try it. Beam! I have my object that I have no modifier, that have a subdivision surface at 1, has been applied, and I'm in delete mode, right? So 4 action did in 1, right? This is the way that you can automate stuff in Blender Python, right? The basics one. Okay, so that being said, how can I do, because just after, you remember that before, I wanted to have 2 subdivision, not 1. So let's try to bring back this line here, right? So this line here, you see that levels equal to, there is a lot of like, there is a lot of change that this is the way to go. So let's try it, all right? Bam! This worked, right? Awesome. Okay, so I need to explain a little bit more to you how does work this one, because this line is way more complex than the OPS one, okay? So the context submodule, you can find it here, right? If you are just here, there is like context access, right? And I will be really quick about it because it's a pretty hard to get modules if you don't get how works like a software like Blender under the hood. But I can try to explain to you with like the simplest word I know. The context submodule of Blender represents like the state of the software at any time, okay? So for example, the state of the software at any time can contain your current selection, for example, the number of objects you have in your scene, whatever you want, right? So this is the state of the software. I know it's a little bit difficult to understand, but you have to follow me on it, right? You remember the trust me bro mantra, right? Trust me bro, okay? So what I'm going to do here is like, when I'm doing this, it's like, okay, BPI, all right, context object. So object, the variable object of context representing this is the active object, right? I can show you if I create an object, this is the active one, and I here I type bpi.context.object, you will see that it returned me the object cube here. Okay, if I duplicate it, I have another cube like cube01. I get right. So you see that this value here is always changing. It's always referencing the active object, right? So that's what does it mean? Is that the active object that just been created before here, right? So because this, when you create, when you execute this line, right? We can try if you want. All right. When we execute this line, Blender creates the cube but make it active too. Let's try, right? The cube is created and it's active too. You can check here, right? So when I do that, what it means is that, okay, now the thing so I will just comment this for now too. So the thing is that, okay, my object here is the object I just created, right? So this object have data. It's a list of modifiers. And one of the modifiers now is called subdivision surface because I just created before. And all the subdivision surface modifier has this name, right? And have what we call an attribute or property that is levels. And that's, I put the value 2 in it. So it's becoming to be a little bit more complicated than just copy and paste from here. So let me give you a tips to know how you can get the properties, value, and names of anything in Blender directly with your mouse. So you need to go in Edit, right, and Preference, okay? And in your Preference panel, you go in your interface here, right? And when you are in your interface here, you will check this thing: Developer Extras, User Tooltips, and Python Tooltips. What it's going to do, it's now when you put your mouse on something, for example, I'm creating a cube, right? And in your cube, I create a modifier subdivision, right? Okay. I can see that if I put my mouse on name, I see that, oh, it's called modifier name. And way better, you see that the last line, it's bpi.data.object. So I can see how I can retrieve this, right? In the Python API, sorry. But what I want to know here is how do I know that this is called level, right? You just need to put your mouse on it, right? I put my mouse on it and you see that it's called levels at the end. This is the last word, right? So I know that it's level. I don't put the S, for example, and put level and not levels. I will have a mistake because, oh man, level don't exist in sub modifier. So you need to put levels, right? And this works. Okay, so all right, I know it's a little bit more complicated than just copy and paste the stuff. You see that even if you don't understand it, you can just copy and paste and this works, but we didn't explain just this line 2. And this line 2, it's pretty weird because this represents the fact that I changed my context here. Look at this. All right, this is the data in Blender that is represented to I'm changing what I see here. And why do I just comment it? It's because this is nonsense. You don't need to move your interface. You don't need to change your interface to do stuff, right? You don't need to see it. So this line is not useful. This is why I destroy it. But don't worry. I think you can, not sure, but I think you can. Yes, no, you can't. You can't execute it here because what it's trying to do here is that when I execute my script, right, I'm in the console. And this works only in the property space. All right, and so it can't work because it's a man, the console, the SpaceX editor do not have this, right? So it does not work. So it's why you need to remove it, right? Because when you execute your script, you're not in the context of the property editor. You are in the context of the text editor, right? So you can't touch to UI stuff, right? I know this is a little bit complicated and maybe a little bit like weird, but don't worry about it. Just if you copy some lines and it don't work, just try to comment them and see if it works, right? And see if your element works. But each time the element you will copy, it's OPS lines because it's action, right? Okay, so let's try again. If you want to create a cube that is smooth and you can work on it directly, beam, all right? And you have it. Okay? All right, let's see. Okay, let's try it again. All right, so pretty cool, right? Pretty awesome. So you can have this file too, and you can use it whatever you want, right? So you can just save this in the file and just copy it in your Blender project, whatever you want and whatever you use it. Of course, there is way to transpose this code on a button in your Blender interface. It's called an add-on, but this will be for another video, all right? So I hope you learned some stuff, and I hope you are as excited as me to get how Python works in Blender and the basics of it, right? So if you want to go and to create a movie with me, if you want to go and learn more stuff with me, what you can do is to click here right now to receive by mail 5 or 6 days of lesson where I'm creating an entire movie with you and I explain you how to do it in Blender, right? We model the character, we do the rigs, the animations, the rendering, all of this stuff. It's a gladiator movie, it's pretty fun to do, so if you want to learn that, and if you are interested to become a 3D artist that is professional, just click here, it's totally free, my treat to you, see you there, bye.